Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
Bonjour, les amis. Hey, I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks. Today's episode is Get the Look French Country Style.
My favorite.
I know.
So I'm glad we're finally doing this. I'm very excited.
I'm going to take a nap. I mean, you can just handle this.
Well,
and by the by, it's episode 465. I got so excited. I didn't even say the number.
I know.
465 episodes, and we finally got to really diving in to French country style.
Right, because this is what I talk about on my blog, Cedar Hill Farmhouse. It's kind of an updated country French design for your home. So I'm very, I've been preparing for this for 10 years, basically. On my blog.
Right, and dialing up to it your entire life.
That's right. And I wanted to mention something before we get started on this, because, there's the look out in the wild. There's the country French look. If you went to a home in the south of France, in the Luberon Valley, maybe you went into a 200-year-old farmhouse and you looked at it and you looked around. That's not exactly what we're going to be talking exactly about today, because we don't have those homes. Most people listening have maybe a house that's maybe 10 years old in the American suburbs. So,
okay, but wait, 1 second. Do you know who does have that home? It's even older than that.
Who?
Our dear friend and listener, Lisa D.
Yes!
Lisa has a home in France, and it is super, super fabulous and way old. And she also lives stateside as well. And she's an amazing shop. So when you mentioned that, her face just popped into my head. So we will link French Needle, which is Lisa's store, so you can check that all out too. And maybe if you head over to her Instagram, you can see some snippets of her house.
Well, right. So I just wanted to say, as we get going, though, if you're a purist and it has to be authentic, 100% from the French countryside, we're really kind of going a little more loosey-goosey and kind of more how you could do this on a budget, how you can do this in an American home, and kind of get kind of a look that's kind of an updated look. And so that's kind of the direction we're going here, because some of the country French look is something that, like some of the colors that are traditional country French colors are, with the cornflower blue and the bright yellow and the kind of orangey red, is, not really considered a color scheme that is really popular right now. So we're going to be expanding the horizons a bit on that.
Right, but we are not going to be sending you to Home Goods to find a factory distressed bucket that has French words on it.
No, we're not doing that.
Put the bucket down and listen.
No, that's right. No, I do have a few, when we get to the items to recommend, I have a few new things that you could throw in, but I think think of the episode we did on the English country style. We talked about getting old things with patina, and I think that's our theme here again.
Right, authentic.
And when I started trying to convert my home to a country French look, I don't know when that was, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't remember. I really had a difficult time, because there's a few things, like if it's a chair, it's very obvious whether it's French or not. But if you look at a book or a bowl or a basket, how can you tell whether it's French or not?
Well, you're going to tell us today.
That's right. We're going to get into it in just a second. So let's talk a little bit about what country French style is. It's a French look. So you're going to have some things that are specific to a French style, but you're also going to have some old world looking things there that don't have to specifically be French. So, for example, I have some maybe French, some English books or some that are vintage. I have some wooden bowls that are probably English. But, at the end of the day, all these antique European pieces kind of look the same. So what we're really talking about are a lot of antique pieces, a lot of vintage pieces, and then we'll get into some that specifically you do want to go with a French item.
And when I think of French country style, I agree. There's that sort of Provençal style that is a little bit more of the primary colors, like think stateside, kind of like April Cornell-y, that sort of thing going on. Right. I'm not so drawn to that anymore. That was very popular here in America at some point, but I think we have also progressed into sort of a French look that people have adapted here. The colors are more muted, a la what you do, Anita. Very elegant, a patina, some gilded pieces, some toile, natural materials, some extravagant lighting, but everything with this rustic touch. So really, honestly, just go to Anita's blog and look around, or her Instagram, and you'll get a really good sense. And then, of course, she's put her own personal stamp on it with some of her more American/Texan touches too. But that really falls under the rustic category.
Well, and I think it's to add on what you're saying about the rusticness, there's definitely a rustic patina element to it, but mixed with the elegance of French design, mixed with bling, mixed with some vintage or antique silver, mixed with maybe a crystal chandelier. So it's kind of this look of this old elegance that's kind of has a bit of patina to it that's not new, but very elegant, where you're not buying new things all the time. So again, you're going to be looking for vintage things as much as possible, and a few French things, specific French things. But yes, it's kind of a mix of bling and rustic. And I think it's a kind of a really unique mix, and it's just has a beautiful, timeless elegance to it.
Yes, and I think a little bit of it, you don't have to go full on French throughout your entire home or even throughout one entire room. You can add elements to it. I have a lot of French elements in my home, but I wouldn't necessarily consider my look French or French country. But I definitely have a lot of pieces that it could be identified that way or are actually from France.
Right. And, my book, French Accents, you're forcing me to bring it up.
I'm familiar. It's very good.
Is basically the whole point of it is what you're just saying. You don't have to have your house completely done exactly to a country French look to appreciate some French accents. Just adding some accents to a room here or there is going to really add some elegance. And I think that in a lot of cases, that's all a lot of people want to do, or all that they need to do to really add some beauty and French je ne sais quoi to their room.
Well said. So do we want to get into some what to add items right now, or do we have some more to say about the look in general?
Well, I was going to talk about some generic things. I have some specific things with links in the end, but I just want to talk about a few generic things first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I say generic, these are just kind of, I don't have links for them is what I'm trying to say. And although we have some links, I'm going to tell you the best thing to do is to go find an antique store near you, go to Round Top, go to some, thrift stores. Well, depending on your thrift stores, they may not have French things, but there's so many French antiques out there, and you just need to go look, and that's really the best thing to do is to go look at your local stores to find some of these things. Now, one of the things you can do is add a beamed ceiling, and that's something that you can do after the fact. You don't have to have them put in when your house is built. These are something you can add later, especially if you do these faux ones. And a neighbor of mine actually bought some faux beams. They're not even really wood, but she stained them, and they look like real wood. And she put them in her cathedral ceiling, and they're really very nice. So, that's one thing that you can add to your home. A few other things that I have on my list. One of my favorite mirrors is a Louis Philippe mirror, and that is from the 1830s, 1840s is when these came into style, when Louis Philippe was in charge, let's say, there in France. And the thing about it is that you can get the antiques. I have a couple of these mirrors that are actually from this time period, but they still make them today. And I'm going to have a link later that I'll get to. But this is a very popular style even today. So these mirrors are squared off on the bottom, but the corners on the top are curved.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely. Oh, also, I love the Trumeau. Am I pronouncing that correctly? The Trumeau mirror?
Well, don't ask me. As you know, everyone thinks I speak French,
but I don't. French. I just I just channel it in my decor.
I know, because I do try to speak French every time I go, and I know they usually just reply to me in English as in, thank you for trying, but we're done. Listening to that.
Well, from the intro, I think everybody knows I did not take French, even in high school. But a Trumeau mirror is often gilded, and it has sort of a larger bit of the frame on top, and many times there's some sort of decorative piece up there, and I have a link to a fabulous one when we get to the specific links. Also some ornate trim, architectural trim. Again, you could add this later on. There's not going to be that many homes in America that are going to have this ornate, distinctly French type of trim, but I believe in a lot of French homes and particularly French apartments and whatnot, you may have a lot of decorative trim around the doorways. And like a pediment on top or something like that. So if your home could take something like that, if you've got taller ceilings, you might want to take a look around, and you can look at some of the resources that we'll be talking about later on to get specific images of these things and to see whether or not that might work in your house.
Right. And I have a reproduction mirror because the original ones would be quite expensive for the Trumeau mirrors. Now, French chairs, you can get new or you can get antique, and it really kind of depends on how you're going to use it. I love having some antique chairs in there because they're the new ones. You cannot replicate that look of that walnut. You don't get walnut chairs anymore. The hand carving, they're just beautiful. So I highly, highly recommend that you have a few antique French chairs in your house. Now, these often are not real sturdy, or sometimes they're kind of small. And, so you have to be very petite to sit in them. So be careful about that. What I do with my antique French chairs is just kind of use them for a little decorative accent in a room. And then I might just put, if I don't want people sitting in them, maybe they're not that sturdy, I just put a stack of books in them, or a tray with something on them, or a basket full of towels or something in the bathroom. So that way I don't worry about someone falling through them. But if it's a French chair that people are actually going to be using, you would think maybe vintage. So maybe something that's 50 years old, something that was made in the 20th century, though that tends to be a little wider. And then you just can change the fabric, or you can go new. Then that's like for our dining room chairs at the table. At one table, I have brand new Louis XVI chairs. And then another table, I have kind of a Louis XV that are very old.
With caution tape around them.
Well, pretty much. And they're not as comfortable. I hate to say it, but it's kind of true.
The French furniture tends to have slimmer profiles, correct? So, then that sort of plays hand in hand with being a little bit more delicate, and maybe some of them have caning or something like that, and then you really want to protect them. How about some really grand, extravagant lighting? So some oversized crystal chandeliers and things like that. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily a dangly crystal. I mean, like an oversized lantern, something that's really going to make a statement. And imagine that type of lighting rubbing up against your exposed wooden beams. Like, there you go. Like, that encapsulates the look we're talking about right there, just with those two items.
Oh, yes. And another thing that I think it's so easy to add this, and it really adds this just certain elegance to your house, and that is to use French vintage or antique dishes. I have transferware, and I also have the faience, which is the kind of the old peasant pottery, basically hand painted. They're both beautiful. The faience is Faience. Those dishes, the originals, can be very expensive, so you might want reproduction on those. The transferware, again, it's going to be hard to find here. I have found it on Etsy, and then I have to pay the price to have it shipped from France here. So it's hard to find here, but when you start looking at these dishes, you'll see they have a distinctively different look from English or American dishes. And it's hard for me to describe it, but when you look at like the footed compote bowls or whatever, it's a different shape. The designs are different. When you start looking at them, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so I think having a few of these are really just fantastic to have in your home. I have some of the platters in some of my plate racks around the house. So, that's something you can do. If you don't feel like you can afford those or they're too hard for you to find, then I would suggest even old ironstone dishes or English dishes, white dishes. I mean, it's still going to give you that feeling of country French, even if they aren't from France.
Right. And some fabrics that you would want to add in, some toiles. That's kind of very obvious, right? But for the country part of the French, ticking, green sack, even checks, buffalo checks, something like that. And I like that juxtaposed with something that is a little bit more precious, like, maybe you mix it in with some sort of silk or pulled silk or something like that, a shantung, really nice. Again, it's like the wood beams in the chandelier. Great juxtaposition and really giving that feel. So the linens, you may even add some skirted fabric to some cabinets. That's a real French country kitchen look. If you have, under your sink, or maybe you could take some doors off or something like that. If you're really into this look, easy enough to do this. Add some copper cookware to your kitchen, and it's so pretty, you can leave it out. And oftentimes in a French country kitchen, it would be all left out, whether it be in a hanging pot rack or, on hooks on the wall or just sitting on top of the stove.
Right, because it's my understanding in Europe, in France, when people move, they take their kitchens with them. So they're just kind of an empty shell. And so a lot of times anything in there's not a lot of cabinets usually. So that's why everything's hanging or sitting on the floor or
that's
lying
so interesting.
about. Well, the houses are old. They're not like here where the kitchen was built in the house originally. So it's a very different framework that you're working with. Another thing that you can add are, I kind of mentioned this or referred to it, old books. If they're French, fantastic. But again, no one's going to notice whether they're French or not, unless they get up very close and start reading the spine on the book. Another thing are old wicker laundry baskets, and a lot of times these are actually French. I have the French laundry baskets. They're rectangular, and they have the handles on them. I got mine at Round Top, but these you can find at some antique places, but they're great I put them on top of my armoires, and then you can store stuff in them and hide them away so that you don't have to see certain things. It's a great way to sneak in some storage.
And if you want to get a new basket that really kind of has that feel, because wouldn't you say, Anita, the feel is it's almost like a rattan. It's a thicker wicker. It's hefty, right? And oftentimes it's distressed, but leave it out in your yard for a while. It'll get the look. But that Kuba, Kooba, I think, is a type of rattan or wicker that is thicker. And if you Google that, you'll find resources from Target to specialty companies that just import that type of wicker basket. So, and the price point runs, the full gamut from really inexpensive to, hundreds of dollars for a couple of baskets. But I think that could also capture the look.
Oh, definitely.
So let's tell everybody who's sponsoring the show today, and then we'll come back and do our specific resources. Hey, we'll be right back with the rest of the show, but keep listening so we can continue bringing you DTT. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. You know, we're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order.
Well, and I just wanted to say a little bit more about things you can add. I'm just going to mention a few quick things.
Sure.
Old oil paintings, landscapes, portraits, those work out well. Vintage silver pitchers, vintage silver teapots, and then even small little French pieces of furniture, little tables or dressers. These are great to mix in. And the other thing I wanted to mention is French style goes very well with English antiques, like you were mentioning with the acorn. English and French things go very well together. And then Gustavian pieces, which is kind of a Swedish, antique Swedish style, specific style. Those pieces also mix very well with French antiques. So I just wanted to mention all of that before we got to our resources. And as we talk about our resources, go look at them because we couldn't get to everything in this episode. There's many more things you can add to get this look. But I did mention my book, French Accents, that you can get at Amazon. And one of my favorite books, it's actually not a new book, but I think it's very good. It's called Charles Faudry, The King of Country French. The thing that's different about this book versus maybe what people are doing now, because the book is a little bit older, is that there's a little more red in some of these rooms than people are using now. And also the book has rooms that have more things in them. I mean, I think things are a little more streamlined these days than maybe the style was about 20 years ago or 10 years ago. So I did want to caution you in that way. However, this book I think is such a great Bible for country French design. Charles Faudry really focused on country French, and everything he put in these homes was the real deal. It was authentic. He did not go to Home Goods to buy this stuff. And so, but you can go to,
I think he just turned at his grave when you used his name and Home Goods in the same sentence.
I know. Sorry, Charles. I think the point is, though, you've got to look at the real thing. You can buy cheaper imitation of some of these things, but you need to know what you're looking at. If you just go buy some bucket that says Paris on it, that's not going to look authentic. That's why I want you to go look at his work, because he has all the real French antiques there. And then you could say, oh, well, this dish is similar to this other one, so I'm going to use this one instead. Or this chair is similar, even though it's not the antique. So I think it's very helpful, and you can just study every little detail in the room. He's just got some great style and elegance. So that's my first book to suggest. How about you?
I'm going to kick the resources off with a YouTube video that I found, and it's a very small channel, but gosh, this is just a beautiful video. Anita, you will love it.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's just photos of amazing French rooms, and it's lovely music, and that's it. And it goes on for about 5 minutes. So I'll link it in the show notes. I think everybody will just enjoy it. It's just sort of a getaway 5 minutes that you'll take a lot from it as well. You can just enjoy it like you went on a little trip to France. But if you really want to get into the nitty gritty, you can stop it and you can look at each room, because I think they just used still photos and just made a video of it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Another book I have is La Vie est Belle, The Elegant Art of Living in the French Style. This is this is a book one of my favorite books, and it features homes in France. So just keep in mind, our homes aren't going to look exactly like this, but it's still nice to see what the real deal looks like. So I think it's nice to have a mix of some books that show American homes with the style and some books that show French homes with the style. And then I'm just going to mention a few magazines. Country French magazine by Meredith. And I've been in that magazine a couple of times, and my house was once on the cover. So it was my favorite before that, but now it's like really my favorite. Let's see. And I've been featured in French Country Home and Living, and I've been featured in French Country Style magazine. This is why I can't get them confused, because they sound so much alike. And then I've been featured in Maison Chic, which is a French magazine. So it's printed in French and over there. And then there's French Cottage magazine and French Style magazine. So all of those are great resources.
And they're all still in business.
I think those are.
Yeah, I think so too. I have a few books, and then I have some specific items. So my books are Provence Style, Decorating in French Country Flair. Really lovely. So I will link everything will be linked that we're talking about now in the resource section in the show notes. And then this one I have loved. I have this book. I don't know if you do, Anita. Carolyn Westbrook, Vintage French Style, Home and Gardens, inspired by a love of France. So here's the ones where they're really not necessarily in France. It might be one or two, but most of them are not in France, but they're inspired by the style, but really done well, just like we're talking about today. So, and it's a lovely sort of light, airy whites and a lot of blues and neutrals. And as far as items, okay, if anybody's willing to drop $1,200 or so, then race over to First Dibs, which is a very high-end estate sale, online, auction type of situation. I don't think they operate as an auction, but it kind of has that feel to it. It's like First Dibs and Cherish are both very expensive. I think you can do better in other places for certain things, but when it's fantastic, it's just sometimes fantastic. And I think this Trumeau mirror is, Anita, you would just go crazy. Robin's egg blue and gold French Louis XV Trumeau mirror from the 1930s with, like a lute and some maybe wheat sheaves or something crossing on the top. I mean, it is breathtaking and probably well worth that price, given the size of
They're expensive. And that's from the 30s, so it's not that old.
Right. If you want to have some smaller decorative pieces that are truly authentic, head to our friend Leedy's shop, French Garden House.
Yes.
And explore her blog too. Leedy is, really an expert in all things French country and French antiques. So we'll link her blog, and you can get to her store and all of that from there.
I think she gets things also from Belgium, which has a French element. They speak French there. So, I often find things that are from Belgium that have a very French feel.
Right. Well, she is Belgian. Right. So, and I know that's where she goes. Yeah. And I did a wonderful interview with Leedy, and she was fabulous. So we can link that too in the show notes. And it's all about adding European flair to your home. So kind of right in line with what we're talking about today.
Okay. And I'm going to include a few things here. Did you get all your
No, I have like one or two more, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I have a few chairs that I found. These are brand new, but they do have a French look to them. Christopher Knight, who I know is your fave, he's got some Louis XVI chairs.
He just can't stop.
I know. They're straight-legged, fluted. The reason I mention these, these are going to be new, so they're going to be very practical, but they're not going to be, antique. But what a great price. There's two of them for less than $250 with free delivery. So
get out of town.
I know, with a light gray fabric, so I'm including that. And then I also found some outdoor French bistro chairs, the kind we like that are stackable with the bamboo legs.
Yeah.
And the navy and white woven seats and backs. Less than $250 for a set of two.
Is that him too?
Well, no, but he does have some also.
He does have those. Yeah, I've seen those.
Right. And then one other thing. Well, actually, let me just mention a couple more, and then I'll be done.
You just can't stop. Go ahead.
I know. It's just so hard to stop. So,
I thought you were going to leave and go get that Robin's Egg Blue Trumeau mirror, but okay,
I know.
You're still with us.
Excuse me. Gotta go. Yeah, well, there was one I had a booth at an antique show one time, and the woman next to me had one of those mirrors, and I just had to sit on my hands because it took all my self-control not to buy it.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's not, it's because it's really bad when you go to those things and you come home with more than
all your stuff, plus you bought the stuff for the lady next door.
Exactly. So anyway, the Louis Philippe wall mirror, like I had mentioned before, from Ballard Designs, it's, I think right now, $239. I'll include the link to that one. And then also, I have a link to a brand new breadboard. Now, I have a lot of antique breadboards, which are great for display. They're big and they're beautiful. But am I putting my food that I'm eating on that? No, because I have no idea where it's been. Sounding like your mother. We don't know where that's been. So here's a brand new breadboard that you could use for food, but I like using the old ones to display.
And on the other hand, I've been using my vintage ones, and so I'm just beefing up my family's immunity.
Oh, I'm sure you're fine. Hey, if you were going to die,
we're not going to get smallpox or the Black Plague.
Okay, just one other thing I wanted to mention, and that is I have a link to some blue transferware plates, and these are from France. And if you want, again, some dishes from France, I recommend you go on Etsy. There's a ton of French dealers on Etsy selling dishes. So that's kind of, I bought several there. So that's a great place to go. In fact, the French dishes, I have a hard time finding in Houston. So I usually do buy those online from Etsy. And if you're looking for a specific brand, I highly recommend the brand SARREGUEMINES. And these are antique, and a lot of times these are about 150 years old, but they are just stunningly gorgeous, and you're going to love them.
Ooh, good tips. Speaking of Ballard, they have a great bergère chair if you're wanting to add a comfortable French chair. I think it looks really good. I've seen it in person. I don't have it personally because I have kind of the real deal, but it looks good.
It does. And it would be comfortable. And I mean, you don't have to get it. You're going to be able to get it in the fabric that you want versus, the old ones where you have to, have them reupholstered.
Exactly. And I have an IG that you might want to check out. If you want a little California with your French, Chateau Sonoma. They have a really beautiful Instagram account and an online store. It's not inexpensive, but again, it's the real deal. So if you find something that you love, it's not a reproduction. It is the real deal. And if you're getting the real deal, you're going to have to pay for it. It's old and it's going to have to be shipped to you and all of that. So I've linked to Chateau Sonoma's IG account, and then you can click on through to their shop from there.
Great. Well, I'm ready for the hot topic. Are you?
I am.
The hot topic is glass door fridges. Why design pros love and hate them. This is a Wall Street Journal article. The wine fridges, I'm all for the glass door on those, but on the refrigerator, it's one of these, it sounds good in theory, but then, there's always something messy in your refrigerator. Now you're going to be forced to buy those Dulux glass containers for everything. You're not going to be able to throw the pizza box in. The thing is, there's a lot of stuff in the fridge that just isn't that pretty.
And even if you get the pretty glass containers, they have a blue top,
right,
and that doesn't work with my look. I don't like to say the word hate in any respect, but if I had to be in one camp, I hate this idea, and I always have. I just think it's super dumb. And just another thing to worry about. My gosh, people are exhausted from their open shelves, and they have a glass refrigerator door. Hello.
Well, and I have to tell you, because I collect dishes, I have a pretty large kitchen in this house, and I did, let's do glass front cabinets on the top, and I'm going to put all my dishes there. Well, then when I did, it just ended up not looking so great, and I ended up not being able to use them for storage of all my mini dishes because I really kind of needed the white dishes for it to have a consistent look, where it had a cohesive look. And so, some of those dishes I actually use, but some of them are just pure display. And so it's kind of like what would happen with your refrigerator. You wouldn't be able to have the junk that you actually eat. You'd just be buying, raspberries and blueberries just because they look pretty, and in your and you're going to be hiding, your junk food in the back of your refrigerator.
Yeah, or who wants to see leftovers?
I know,
milling about in your fridge. Now, I think it's a really bad idea. If anybody is listening and they have one, let us know what you think. Send us an email. I'm sure there's somebody that loves theirs out there, but I think even though I am sort of a type A, I think that was just going overboard. Why stress yourself out with what your fridge looks like. I like my fridge to look nice and neat when I open it up, and it does. Everything's sort of lined up, and I like all the labels going for it, and I don't have a situation where there's anything like, gosh, is there a science experiment going on in the back of my fridge? Like, I don't operate that way anyway, but even keeping my fridge the way I do, I don't want a glass door on it. No.
So I mean, you know, if you've got it, I mean, I'm not saying don't do it, but it's not for me. It's not for me. Because it would be another thing, like you said, I would be stressing about someone's coming over. Do I have something that looks ugly in my refrigerator?
Exactly. Eat that. Someone's coming over. Get rid of that.
I'm not going to walk around naked, and I don't want you looking in my refrigerator either.
Well, exactly. I mean, I don't know why they didn't use that analogy in the Wall Street Journal. Okay, so we talked about our consults in our last episode. And, you know, we're very remiss in mentioning this all the time. We think we say something once and everybody's just going to remember it. But maybe you didn't listen to the episodes where we talked about it. But we got such a response last time. We wanted to tell everybody yet again, you know, we do design consults and we love doing them. Don't we? We have so much fun and we get to know you on a personal level and we love helping everyone. And I think everybody's really feels that they're really great. Actually, we get such great feedback and then people send us follow-up photos and whatnot. So we know that they're taking what we're suggesting to heart and all of that. So if you're interested in a design consult, we're going to have a link in the show notes where you can find out more information about that and schedule one with us. We've already scheduled a couple since the last episode. And I'm also doing garden consults and I've scheduled a couple of those since we mentioned it last time. So I would love to get out in the dirt in your garden with you. So if you want to learn more about that, you can email me at kelly@mysoulfulhome.com and we'll have the link to my email in the show notes as well. So it's easy to find us for both those things. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months.
Are you ready to share your crush for today?
I am. I am reading the most fabulous book. It's by Norma Kamali. I'm sure everybody knows who Norma is, but if you don't, she's an iconic clothing designer that has been around for a long time and has had an amazing career. And I didn't even know how amazing until I started reading this book. But her book is called I Am Invincible. Norma is now 75 and still gets to the office at 6:30 a.m. and has a great long day and does yoga and meditates and eats right and has these 3 pillars of life that she's sharing. She's amazing. And I still keep trying to figure out if the photo on the book is her now, because if it is, I just want to crawl into her skin and like soak up whatever's going on there because she's gorgeous and she's 75. Let me just repeat that. Really inspiring book. I highly recommend it. Norma Kamali, I Am Invincible.
Oh, wow. Mine is food related because I do like to eat.
And you like to keep your food private behind a solid refrigerator door.
That's right. Don't try to see what I'm eating, though. But I'll tell you what it is. I found a recipe. Actually, Kevin found it in a magazine he was reading, and it's for gluten-free garlic naan bread. And I miss naan bread so much. We love, love, love Indian food, but I don't eat the naan bread because of the gluten. So I found this recipe, and it is delicious. And the secret is you spread a lot of butter on it with some cilantro, and it is incredible.
That sounds like it would make anything taste pretty good, but yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I'll include a link for that or the recipe itself.
Oh, so, that would be really good. Yum. Okay, well, I think Norma might even approve of that because it's
good.
Great. But yeah, definitely. We'll put the link to all these things in the show notes. Today was so much fun talking about your favorite style, Anita.
Well, it was. I enjoyed it too. So I hope everyone enjoys these Get the Look episodes, and we're looking for information about what other styles you would like us to cover. And this was actually a request.
Well, yeah, the group in our Team TTT group was still very active, and they seem to really enjoy the Get the Look. And we asked them in our Facebook group, what other styles? And we got so many different responses. I have a big list.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
Want to talk to us? Well, we really want to talk to you. So let's schedule a design consult. Anita and I are here to give you individualized, actionable advice on how to create the beautiful home you want and deserve. It's so easy to schedule a design consult with us. Simply click the link in the show notes or head to decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. When we talk to you on the scheduled time, we will be ready with so many great tips, advice, and yes, tricks. So sign up today for a design consult with Anita and I. We can't wait to talk to you.